Hello, Topical listeners. Today is Valentine's Day, and since I have nothing to offer on the matters of love and romance, we want to play for you a special bonus episode of another OPR podcast, Love Sounds with Martha Saunders. Join Saunders as she explores the world of 21st century romance and answers listeners' questions about sex, love, and a lot of other topics you'd probably prefer to keep private. Enjoy. The Topical is presented by Cash App, the #1 finance app in the App Store. And while it's not technically a dating app, if you do happen to meet someone while transferring money, there's no harm in seeing where things go. Download Cash App today and get $10 when you sign up using promo code Topical and let the sparks fly.
From The Onion and Onion Public Radio, this is Love Sounds. I'm your host, Martha Saunders. Valentine's Day. It can be a joyous occasion for many people. For others, it's a painful reminder of memories they'd rather not relive. But within that pain, we can often find a glimmer of hope, sparkling like a diamond ring. Hope is what happened to Erin Mercer, who will be reading a heartfelt first-person essay titled The Child's Torment. We hope it will make you cry.
There have been times in my life that I thought, I can't make it through another Valentine's Day. It's too hard being reminded of what I lost year after year. But with a little help, I did it. I managed to love Valentine's Day again years after a nude man in a diaper killed my father with a bow and arrow. I don't think people understand what it feels like to walk around on Valentine's Day in my shoes. Images of Cupid are everywhere. The cherub wearing a diaper, launching his arrows and making couples fall in love. People think it's sweet. But when I see the god of love, all I can picture is my father, bleeding out on the sidewalk years ago after the man wearing only an adult diaper and filthy running shoes fired an arrow right through his chest. Every Valentine's Day was like watching him get murdered by that diaper man all over again. It happened when I was just a little girl. It was outside a restaurant. Of course. So the fact that Valentine's dinners are usually in restaurants has been another problem for me. And the naked man came out of nowhere, wielding his bow, running down the street screaming, and I'll never forget it. I will always love you. I had a date once who played that song, and I ran from his apartment in tears. Every year by mid-January, I would start to get a glimpse of the horrors awaiting me. I would be in the convenience store, looking for rubber bands or sponges, and there they'd be, lining the greeting card aisle, pictures of my father's killer, smiling at me, taunting me the way that man with the blood-stained adult diaper and filthy New Balance running shoes did that day, leering at me as my hemorrhaging father begged that man not to shoot anyone else. I would get so upset. I'd find myself shaking in the Hallmark aisle, dialing 911, about to call the police on a Valentine's Day card. My relationships have suffered. For a long time, I would avoid even being in a relationship on Valentine's Day. Or I'd say, let's have a quiet night in. But my date would bring over a box of chocolates, and there that diaper-wearing cherub would be, waiting to ruin my day just like the diaper man ruined my life. One year, I had gone on a few dates with a guy, and things were going well. But then Valentine's Day rolled around. I hadn't told him yet about what had happened to my father. I didn't want to. I really liked him, and I thought I would be okay. He had a sense of humor and liked to do these little stunts. So when he came to pick me up, he opened up his jacket and said, "Surprise!" He had dressed up as Cupid. I still get waves of sadness when I remember how I felt in that moment. He just meant it as a bit of fun, but I got so distraught I basically blacked out. When I came to, I was screaming and smacking him with a dozen roses. Things were never the same after that. How could I make people understand that all Valentine's Day meant to me was holding my father's hand at the hospital as the life drained from his eyes, then being informed that the man in the diaper had gotten away, his bow and arrow nowhere to be found? But in time, I persevered. I learned to cope. With the help of my therapist, I eventually stopped blaming myself for not jumping in front of that arrow. I underwent extensive exposure therapy to dissociate the image of Cupid with the diaper man who killed my father on that terrible February day. Now when I see Cupid, I just have to say to myself, this is not the man who killed my father. This is the god of love. Not a grim-covered man with crazy eyes who thwacked my mother out of the way with his crossbow before blowing a kiss and killing my father. They are not the same. Because ultimately, I know my dad wouldn't want me to suffer forever. He'd want me to go out there and go on dates and find happiness, not continue to relive the sheer terror of trying to get the nude man to stop trying to yank his arrow out of my father's chest, using my father's body for leverage, then go skipping down the street with his bow yelling about how love hurts, his sodden diaper slipping past the crack of his ass, his dirty New Balance sneakers flapping in the wind. Is Valentine's Day my favorite holiday now? No, it's not, but I've made my peace with it, and I feel safer now. Also, I bought a gun. Thank God for guns. That makes me feel safe too. Thank you.
All right, top heads, time to get real. We know you have way too many options when it comes to daily news podcasts, but we're going to go ahead and tell you about one more anyway. Today Explained from Vox. It's unlike any other news podcast out right now. Is that right? Every day, the team picks an essential news story that defines our moment. Sounds familiar. And then host Sean Ramasvaram sits down with some of the world's best journalists, academics, and policymakers to help us understand it. Jesus, should have just named it the Topical. From the Brexit drama and 2020 presidential candidate issues to TikTok and Old Town Road, Today Explained isn't just for political junkies. It also explains a lot of other stuff that doesn't matter either. Hey, you already listen to like 12 other podcasts every day. What's the harm in one more? So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to Today Explained from Vox, wherever you get your podcasts.
We want to thank Erin for sharing her story and reminding us that Valentine's Day means something different to everyone. Thank you for listening to Love Sounds. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can penetrate our subscription button wherever you get your podcasts. And join us next week for a story of passion and recognition. We'll talk with a couple who ended their 8-year-long relationship after realizing they were better off as siblings. Until next time, I'm Martha Saunders. Have a happy Valentine's Day.